All right, everyone, it is Monday. Welcome to the new week for the markets, and we are starting off with some really great stuff on the charts, specifically in your other markets outside of Bitcoin, such as the S&P and Russell, but also Bitcoin is doing what we expected, went ahead, consolidated here. We did already fill the CME gap from this weekend and are already back up to where we had left off in yesterday's video, so that's really good to see. This is the CME chart, by the way, right here. You can see the CME gap that we had started off with later on Sunday, and then quickly got filled by price. Now getting back above where this gap was is a very bullish sign, and this pullback absolutely was to be expected. This was just a very nice golden pocket retracement. You always like to see these bullish corrections within the chart, testing this local range low once more before the continuation on up higher. I would say at this point it's pretty confirmed that this high is going to get taken out very soon, and this is the next level we're going to watch for, the 68,600 sweep level. From all the way back where we had our last FOMC meeting, we had created this volatile move as you normally do during those meetings, big liquidity hunt, and after this hunt, this is where price rejected. This is where liquidity was built, and this could be a sweep level, so we'll watch for a sweep structure on that level. With this last high we had on Bitcoin as well, that's going to create just more liquidity up there. So this is our first point to watch. If we come up here, reject volume, get back under, sweep, something like that. But higher up here we have much more volume and much more liquidity at the 70K level that I had been talking about. This is kind of where I expect to go when we do start seeing that euphoria into the Ethereum ETF, which is going to launch tomorrow. We had talked about it in yesterday's video, but we never actually covered the Ethereum chart, which I felt like we probably should do. So we'll cover that in just a second. We'll do Ethereum next after this, talk about that ETF. But yeah, essentially this big box up here is what I'm going to be looking at to potentially take out some hedge short positions. We'll see how that plays out, but I really don't expect any sort of like macro top to come in that area, because at that point you're going to be building just more and more poor highs on the daily time frame. All of these highs are lower, right? These were actually at the same level within here, meaning liquidity is being built. There's a lot of liquidity when we look at our liquidity maps going all the way up to $75,000. I've continually talked about this since we made these poor highs, and my reasoning for squeezing up on there to grab it no matter what. And I think we're finally getting to the point where we are going to start hunting for that liquidity. So we'll see when we come up into this volume if it is going to be a swing failure and we go ahead and do a larger correction before the uptrend continues back into all-time highs, or potentially we could just continue the sharp trend, the impulsive move, and just slowly flip that into support before skyrocketing up through that top side liquidity. And back to our fibs, we had pulled this from swing low to swing high, gotten that golden pocket that we had bounced off of. And what you want to see for a continuation up higher is when you bounce off your golden pocket, swing low to swing high. Let's see if we can then go ahead and flip the resistance golden pocket into support. So you'd pull it from swing high, swing low this time, and you want to see if this can actually get reclaimed back into support. So this is what I'll be watching for in the short term. Can we actually flip this golden pocket back into support for that confirmation of the move up on higher to potentially $70,000 going into tomorrow? But speaking of tomorrow, let's go ahead and talk about this Ethereum ETF, which is going to launch in around 24 hours from now. Real exciting times for sure. We had talked about historically the last two spot Bitcoin ETF launches had been sell the news events, but of course, just having two events to go off of is not great as far as backtesting goes. While I would assume it's going to be no different and we would have at least somewhat of a sell the news event, I think this time easily could be different. We could see ETH actually rally on this ETF launch, especially if the inflows are anything like Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin ETF inflows really didn't affect price at all. You look at the dollar amount that is flowing into Bitcoin on the daily time frame. You look at the 24-hour volume of those inflows compared to the 24-hour volume of Bitcoin in general, and it just does not make a dent because of the market cap of Bitcoin. But Ethereum is substantially smaller, substantially less volume. So if these ETFs can print nearly the same inflows as those Bitcoin ETFs, that actually might affect price, and that would be extremely bullish for the chain. And we could see something much different than those Bitcoin Bitcoin ETF launches, especially with how the chart is shaping up. We have gone ahead and flipped this daily EMA. This is a big support resistance flip that you do see respected very well. This is the 50 EMA on the daily, and getting back above this could confirm a much larger time frame trend on the chart right now. If I had to make a prediction on what tomorrow is going to bring, I would say it's going to be somewhat similar to those Bitcoin ETFs, in which when you have launch day, you get a crazy pump up on the chart, a big wick up into the highs, and then in the days following you have somewhat of a sell the news event where we do trend down a little bit, but I don't expect it to kind of break the lows down here. I don't think that's quite what we're going to see in the charts. I would expect just kind of a volatile, impulsive move to liquidate those late longers in the market. Maybe we sweep these lows down here, but a continuation swiftly after that to actually go for all-time highs. I think this ETF is going to be extremely bullish because, as we talked about just a second ago, I think those inflows are going to be much more impactful on ETH rather than Bitcoin, and market participants are going to realize that, and it should be very bullish for price action. But of course, that's entirely just a guessing game. But let's go ahead and zoom out here on Ethereum and talk about the fib levels, because we are still in retracement mode for ETH. We have not broken through the retracements. We are still stuck within this golden pocket to 786. But what we like to see on the charts is after testing this weekly 50 EMA, we have gotten back above the 618, and now we have the potential to flip it back into support, just like we were talking about Bitcoin on these shorter term time frames. And you actually see on the daily time frame, we have already back tested this into support. We wicked down to it and got a nice bounce off of that 618, which is extremely bullish. Getting back above the golden pocket and flipping it into support normally signals that the next move on the chart will be for all-time highs, and we should see that $5,000 plus Ethereum, and I think that is coming very soon. But similar to Bitcoin, when we get up into this all-time high area, this is not a time to go FOMO into the market. It's time to watch carefully, because we might get a swing failure of this level before accepting back within these fibs, getting back within the retracements, potentially falling back into the bear market going into 2025. And staying with the theme of crypto before we do get into the S&P, Russell, dollar, all that good stuff, let's talk about the altcoin market, because we are getting into this box of worst case scenario where we could find resistance. This is the previous bull market's range value area low. We had gone ahead and accepted above this originally, looked very bullish, but failing this level could signal just a retrace up to backtest it before finally truly entering into the bear market. And this is still certainly in play, so we need to watch this very carefully. If we do, going into the Ethereum ETF, have a wick up through here that turns into a sell the news event and swing fails this volume and gets back under, that's going to be a very bearish sign, and we need to be watching out for that to actually play out. We need to be watching, I would say, our daily time frames to make sure we are holding higher lows on this thing. We have also accepted back above the daily EMA on this chart as well, so let's make sure we can hold this daily EMA and we don't get back under it and reject it as resistance. That would also not be a good sign to see on the altcoin market. So right now we are at a critical level. We expect to find some resistance within here, but so far so good. We are holding those higher lows on the daily time frame. We're back above the daily EMA. It is looking really good. Let's just see if we can get this confirmation of flipping this into support to truly get us out of the woods. And as is kind of expected, with the altcoin market struggling at that resistance and Bitcoin in honey badger mode, Bitcoin dominance has gone ahead and actually broken out of this downtrend we had been looking at for quite some time. So I think this is just another sign of where we are in the cycle. Either we are just early on where the altcoin season hasn't started yet, or the cycle is different due to monetary policy, more similar to the 2019 bear market rally where interest rates were high, right? We just don't have that risk taking from retail. A lot of retail doesn't have a lot of money right now because we're still in kind of recessionary times, because you have things like unemployment still going up, inflation is still very high. There's a lot of people struggling to afford stuff. We just don't have stimulus checks going out to everyone like we did in last cycle. So we'll continue to watch dominance here, see if this is going to flip back under to confirm more of a bearish structure so we can have that big altcoin season, especially with the Ethereum ETF coming out. I do expect money to start flowing into more risk on assets in the crypto space, but just letting you know, Bitcoin dominance has broken out, so let's continue to watch this closely. Now let's talk about the S&P. What is so good about what's happening here? Well, we had talked about this sweep level that we had grabbed, looked back above, and we wanted to see it hold. We then failed this level, indicating that that was not the full sweep yet. And what did we grab? Well, we did grab more liquidity. We grabbed pretty much everything from this uptrend within here, and now after sweeping both of these lows, we have reclaimed both of those lows. So this continuation up here on the S&P is very bullish to see, and we already got a back test of that top side sweep level. So I really like what I'm seeing on the charts here, but we got to be cautious because this could be a sign of weakness. Potentially double top is in play for the S&P before we do actually enter that Great Depression 2.0. I still think they're going to try to push it out to September into election season though, so I still think we got some time, and this was likely just to shake out your market participants that are FOMOing into the highs. And with the S&P starting its uptrend once again, we do see the Russell also starting to come back up after this short correction, after accepting back within the bull market range of 2021. This is really great to see. I think it's good confirmation this was not just a swing failure on the weekly time frame. We did not fail back under the previous bull market range, and we have gone ahead and held this very nicely. Let's see if we can get that continuation and potentially break up into all-time highs. If we can see all-time highs on the Russell, then I think your altcoin market is going to explode. And then lastly, let's talk about the DXY, the US dollar index. As we know, Bitcoin is inversely correlated with this asset, but even with this move up here on the dollar, Bitcoin has not been respecting it, and we do see both running at the same time. And now that we are at resistance on the dollar, assuming this can flip back into resistance and we do see a continuation down lower, this is another catalyst for Bitcoin to absolutely fly. But we do need to watch this carefully because we are consolidating right up next to it. It could be a sign that we are going to flip this back into support and go up higher. That's not what we want for crypto, but so far resistance is resistance until it's been flipped into support. So I would expect the probabilities are in favor of this move down here on the dollar, sending Bitcoin and crypto to Valhalla. So we'll see how this week plays out, and I will make sure to continually keep you guys updated on this channel every single day with what I'm seeing on the charts. But if you have any questions about anything I talked about or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is in the description down below, and below that is my VIP Discord, specifically for leveraged traders out there, packed with tons of valuable information to help you out with that. And through the month of July, you are getting 50% off for the next 3 months using that code early. It's only $20 a month. Great deal in my opinion. Go ahead, click on that, read through the bullet points, and decide for yourself if it's going to be worth your money or not. Also, go ahead, check the rest of the links down in the description below, including a BingX limited time event that I am running with my exchange partner. So if you want to earn some awesome rewards and bonuses for some simple tasks, go ahead and check out that event and get some free money on a great exchange. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.